Good morning, everybody. KT here with Wise Images Photography, and today we are going to talk about 2 things to avoid to improve your photographic images. So let's get going. All right, so first up, avoid staying in the same position. You know, as nature photographers, sometimes we don't really get an option of where we are going to go ahead and photograph because maybe 1, we don't want to move because if we move, we might spook the animal. 2, it might be a safety concern. So you kind of might be where you're like going, okay, I have to stay here because if I go over here, I could get myself hurt. So always, obviously, always make sure safety is first, but avoid staying in the same position. And I'm going to give you guys some examples. I'm actually going to pull from when I work with my clients in regards to like when I did weddings, when I do like senior sessions and things like that. I don't do weddings often anymore. I'm going to do one more wedding for a friend, but outside of that, I'm taking this philosophy and going to apply it to nature photography in hopes that it will help you. So, what do I mean by avoid staying in the same position? Well, if you have a zoom lens, you can always go ahead and go wide, medium, close-up, wide, medium, close-up. And that's kind of a strategy that I use when I'm working with clients so that way I can give them variety. I remember one time I was working with a fellow photographer, and they basically took like 15 to 20 images of the exact same shot. And you're not going to improve if you don't try to experiment and try different things. So what I will do when I'm working with my clients is I will go ahead and do wide, like 3 shots, medium 3 shots, and then close up 3 shots. And then I will change positions, or I will change their position, or I will change an angle and then do the same thing again. The reason for the 3s is because sometimes people will close their eyes, maybe one shot goes blurry, and then hopefully out of this 3, one of them will turn out good or fantastic. So if you are in a situation where you cannot physically move yourself, go ahead and try moving your lens so that you get different images and you avoid staying in the same position. Now, another aspect of avoiding staying in the same position is for lighting. There was a time that I was with my aunt, and the sun was actually behind me, but there was also some trees. And then behind her was like a lake and a big, huge hill. And I figured with the sun behind me, for sure I was going to go ahead and get that shot. Took the shot, and no. Basically, her and her husband were completely in the dark. And my aunt looked at me and she goes, "Catherine, I want you to go around and I want you to shoot on the other side." And this is probably I don't know, like when I first kind of, I don't know, maybe like 10, 15 years ago or something like that. But anyways, she told me to go around to the other side. So I went around to the other side and I took a picture of her. And I looked at the back of the camera and I go, wow, I go, that worked. And she goes, "Catherine, I want you to look at something behind you." She goes, "Behind you was a big hill. There was also a lake." She goes, "I want you to start thinking in terms of what are your surroundings? What can become a big reflector?" And it really stuck with me. And it was funny because before then I never really thought about, what was the reflector and whatnot. And so now when I go to photograph images, I will look around and I'll scan and I go, okay, what can I use as a reflector? What can I use to get for a fill light? So those are some things that you want to think about in regards to avoid staying in the same position, because you might also need to move so that way you get good lighting as well. So up next, let's talk about what you need to avoid as well. Number 2, avoid extra distractions in your image. And the reason why is because if you have like random stick in the middle of the image, people are going to be busy looking at the stick. So you want to try to cut that out. Let's say, for example, if you are photographing a bird, you might look at the bird and go, I really like that shot, but maybe there's too much distraction in regards to what is behind the bird. So maybe you might get a little bit more selective if you've gotten lots of images of that bird. And maybe you go, okay, I'm going to wait till the bird is away from that background so that way I get a little bit more bokeh, and then that way the image doesn't look too distracting. Now, do I sometimes take pictures with distracting backgrounds? Yes, I do, because, sometimes I can't get the birds to cooperate. And, even though I'm like, hey, move over to the left or move over to the right, they just don't cooperate for whatever reason. But needless to say, there are other times that, if it's something that I've never photographed before, I'm not too concerned sometimes about the background, because sometimes I might just be documenting something. But as you get further along in your photography, and maybe you've, like I said, have photographed this particular subject a few times or a lot, get a little bit more creative. Move yourself around so that way you can get that less distracting shot. I hope that these tips have helped you out. Please make sure you like, subscribe. Let me know which idea to avoid has helped you out the most. I want you to remember that you are awesome, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. And I'll see you later, alligator.